hour, we chat for an hour, 30 minutes. It all fluctuates. I'd say just expect an hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe even a little less. But it's all great conversation. What I'll do is I'm just gonna go over like a brief agenda, and then Brad's gonna take it away with his beautiful poetic story. And um, this is a big deal. Like this is what I thought. I said it earlier on the call, was like what I thought this call was gonna be about was gonna be really special. And then me and Brad just kind of chatted a little bit. He's like, "Hey, I saw what you posted." He's like, he's like, "That's only what you know since you met me." He's like, I've had two healing experiences in my life, and that's an understatement, to be honest with you. It's just a lot under one umbrella. I'd call the first one, and it's powerful, guys. And what hit me, the fact, the vulner. So basically, Brad's releasing something he's never released before, which is going to be fucking powerful. And then the impact of that on us and with him is just going to change a lot of lives. Ripple effect. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a beautiful thing. And let's see, yeah, like doing something like this can be, in front of people, can, get people nervous. But for what Brad's about to say, I'm so excited for you, and very I feel very honored to be a part of this process going on right now. So yeah, all right, so let's get started. All right, this will be my first official start. Ready, go. All right, cool. So welcome everybody to the Sunday Journeys. Now it's not Sunday Night Journeys, we're going to call it Sunday Journeys, because we have people all over the world um, with stories that they like to share. These are, so what we do is we share healing journeys, mystical journeys, experiences that shift our lives back to where they originally were, and they change lives. We have a lot of them on YouTube that you guys could check out. I'll share in the feed if you haven't seen them. But yeah, so I met Brad in Cancun 2022, and just from our relationship, that, like I said, that story was a journey to share for people, and what it turned into within our relationship and how it keeps growing and expanding is beautiful. Good morning, Danielle. How are you? So yeah, I met Brad in Cancun. I had, like, within like 5 minutes of being there, I had the huge Kundalini experience, like just when Dr. Joe was talking, and then Brad was right behind me, and he's like, checking on me, saying, "Dude, are you all right?" And saying, "We're all right." And then like the next day, he went through the same thing. I ended up having to walk him to his room because he couldn't walk. And then in that experience, and by the way, I do apologize. I said heart attack. These were everything. Where I said heart attack, replace that with the word stroke. Brad's father had a stroke while we were there. Um, a year later, Brad's father had another stroke, passed away, and then Brad ended up getting a stroke through that process. And this was originally going to be the story, but I just want to share what the picture of what I know about Brad, and then he's going to kind of take it away. And then he's been on this healing journey of wholeness, oneness, and creativity. And like me and Brad are working on a project together. He has his own website that he's working on right now that has everything to do with what we're doing right now. It's just a website version of this. Like if you're doing anything that has to do with wholeness, wellness, he wants you to be a part of it, kind of thing. So he's going to share a little bit about that. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of how it unfolded. I was like, dude, you gotta share this story. Look what you're doing with what life put in front of you. And then again, it blossomed into what we're about to hear. So Brad, thank you again. Oh, sorry. Thank you again for being here and for your vulnerability and trusting this circle to share what you're sharing. I appreciate it. So thank you. And the floor is yours. And I'm here. So don't worry. I'm always here, chiming in and out. But
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah. Thanks, brother.
Thank you very much. Okay, firstly, can you hear me?
Perfect. The best we've
Perfect.
heard anyone with that amazing microphone.
All right. So I just want to say thanks to Robbie for inviting me on here, because obviously I want to share this with everyone, and I haven't um, I haven't shared the first transformation to virtually anyone except for very close friends, because it's a little bit more private, I suppose. But it's about time for it to come out, really, because since my heart attack last year, the whole world's been flipped upside down, and everything has changed. And that's what I want now, is change. And I've still got this other stuff in my head, and I want to make room for the new me, because I feel like basically I was reborn last year. I'm not the same me that I was last year. So I'm going to do two transformations for you here, and I'm going to start with the first one. So I'm going to take you back to when I was 32 years old. I was having a conversation with my wife. We were talking about, because I was getting to know her then, this is before we got married, and I was chatting to her about things you get up to when you're younger, finding your sexual pathway in life. And I blurted something out. And I've looked back at her, and she's got her jaw wide open. She's just, you know, and I was like, "What?" And she said, "Play that back in your head." So played it back in my head. Didn't think anything of it. Played it back a few times more in my head, and then it suddenly dawned on what I've said. And what I said to her, I recalled me being sexually abused when I was 11. And in that single moment at the age of 32, I had every single emotion, every single sense from what happened when I was 11 come at me tenfold. And suffice to say, I didn't take it very well. um, and between the age of 15 and 32, whether I'd remembered it or not, I don't think I would have, because I pretty much blotted everything out of my mind. I used to be a DJ. I used to go clubbing a lot, and there's that seedy side of clubbing and everything that goes with it. So I used to also drink like a fish as well. So I might as well say I was an alcoholic. Um, and this didn't go down very well with my body, with the stress that I was in, and the constant anger and frustration of what had happened, along with the embarrassment, and all the other negative emotions that go with that. So after 8 years, there was a physical effect of all the emotions and the chemicals in my body and the stress. It first started off with my knees. My knees were failing, both of them. Then it was my elbows, then my shoulders, and then finally my spine, which was the worst one of all. So I had four operations on my left knee, one on my right. I had injections in my elbows, my shoulders. I had tennis elbow, bursitis, both shoulders, and I had five separate spinal conditions, two of which, well, one of which was really serious. Um, so nothing was working. It was just generally getting worse. And I used to get depressed quite a lot. I'd have quite big highs and quite big lows. And never really thought anything of that. I just thought that's who I was. I'm this person that gets a bit moody and angry sometimes, and gets depressed sometimes. But the depression got longer, and eventually, after the sort of the 8 years, it was more like 2, 3, 4, even 5 weeks of this depression. And finally, my wife in 2017, she went to a progressive event by this guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. And she went to that event. She came back looking a bit different. And I couldn't help noticing that she was just a bit different. And the next year, in 2018, she went to another one, and she came back a little bit different again. Um, and then she booked herself to the Brighton week long, the one that Dr. Joe talks about in all of his events. And she saw it happened firsthand, people healing left, right, and center. She was with the lady who sorted her eyesight out that Dr. Joe talks about. There was a guy with Parkinson's, a guy who was deaf, a person who wasn't walking. All of them went back healed. So she was telling me about this, and I was like, wow, really great, but like, come on, really? And the next year, she booked me to go to the Progressive in Scotland, Edinburgh. I said, yeah, okay, I'll go to that. And 2 weeks later, promptly said, no, I won't go to that. And then yes, then no, then yes, then no. And in the end, I said no. So I'd basically talked myself out of possibility. And she said, clever lady she is. Don't tell her I said that though. Clever lady she is. She said, why don't you go on a 3-day holiday? I was like, 3-day holiday. Never been to Scotland. So I thought, all right, I'll go to Scotland then. I'm so glad I did. I got up there. I met a whole bunch of people that were different to the normal people that I meet. They were very friendly. They'd quite happily give you a hug, even if you don't even know them, which was a bit weird for me. I was like, okay. But what the biggest thing was is there was a lady there who I out through the doors, and she was struggling so much to get through the door. I held the door open for her. She had one person on one side, one on the other. She had a set of crutches, and she got in, sat down, and everything. And I remember having the generous present moment meditation, and I heard all this screaming and shouting and everything. And it turned out that it was this lady who I'd let in the door. Dr. Joe gets her up on stage. She walks up on stage without the crutches, without anyone holding her, and she explains to Dr. Joe and everyone that she'd been numb. Head, arms, legs, everything was completely numb for 9 years. And in that moment, she got back all of her feeling and she was able to walk again. And there was actually one funny moment because she was saying to Dr. Joe as she got on stage, I overheard it. She said, I feel so uncomfortable. And you can hear Dr. Joe saying, it's okay, don't worry. She goes, no, 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 I feel so uncomfortable. And he's going, no, 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 it's okay. I'll walk you through it. Don't worry, we'll go slowly. She goes, no, you don't understand. She goes, I've suddenly got the feeling back everywhere. And she said, my hair feels greasy and I can feel the sweat dripping from under my arms. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. Like Dr. Joe said, she's up there saying about her hair and the sweat under her armpits, completely forgot about the fact that she's not numb anymore and she can walk, which I thought was great. But that
That's cool.
lady, whoever she was, if I could find her, I'll give her a big hug because it was seeing her do that which made me think if she can do that, then I can do this. So I immediately got back after the event and booked myself to the Spain week long, excuse me a moment. And I started meditating a lot because obviously I'd started doing the meditation now, and at that progressive, I'd felt a little bit of a tingle on my head, and I thought, wow, I felt a bit of energy. So I started doing these meditations, and I imagine what it would be like to be at the event when I was healed, not if I'm healed or I would like to be healed. It was a definite, definitive, I am going to be healed at that event. So this went on, but unfortunately it got postponed again and again and again. Eventually it got cancelled. So I'd had a whole year of doing meditations ready for this event to be healed. I was gonna heal. And it eventually got cancelled. And that was quite simply put the lowest moment. I was in my real dark place then. Um, and shortly after it was cancelled, about a month later, I think it was, I got an email through from Encephalon asking if I wanted a remote coherence healing. So I'm thinking, okay, but I don't know what one of them is. So I said no. And then I was offered another one, and I said no to that one. And the third one, I said no to that one. So finally, there's a fourth one came through, and this time my wife stepped in and she said, Brad, you do realize that people put their animals and goldfish in for healing. And she said, you've been told that you're one step away from being paralyzed. And if you do something silly, you're one step away from even death. You could sever your spinal cord. And she said, I think that you've got enough issues going on there to be able to apply for one. So I applied for the healing. And this is where things start getting cool. So I applied for the healing. Within 3 days, I was told that I'd been accepted. And I remember that first healing. And it was like being on a lilo on the sea. I was just feeling this lovely motion. It was very pleasant. So I didn't know what to expect because I hadn't done a week-long event, so I didn't know what was going on. Then the second healing. So I'm lying there, and within 5 minutes, I remember tingling in my feet. And the tingling came up and it got up to about my thighs. But then the tingling turned into quite a fast vibration. And then my fingers started tingling as well. And the fingers, hands were doing this. They were closing up. They were really tingling like crazy. And then my lips, and then my tummy. And my tummy started popping up and down. And then it went to my heart. And I'm now lying here thinking, jiggling around and everything, thinking, oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. I was loving every moment of it. I thought it was brilliant. And then there was this huge flash, a massive flash. It was as though someone got a couple of flash guns for a camera and put one on one eye, one on the other, and hit the button. And I thought, wow, I'm going to be having a healing whilst there's a thunderstorm going. And there was another flash, and then a flash, 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 flash. And I thought, no, that can't be a thunderstorm. We're in the UK. You don't get storms like that. And then there was a blue flash, and then a white, then a blue, then a white, and it just went, and it went really fast. And then I saw this image, this white dot was me, and I knew it was me. I don't know why. I knew this white dot was me, surrounded by probably a couple of thousand red dots. And I saw this wave of red coming into the middle and going back out, into the middle, going back out. And it done this faster and faster and faster. And the more it did it, my heart opened up and I felt more and more and more and more love. And it was just off the chart love. It was incredible. So this healing eventually ended, and I had the next day's healing. Next day's healing was quite business-like. It felt different. That ended. Went to bed that night. It was quite late. Woke up the next morning, hadn't taken my pill, and I thought I haven't got any pain. And for 2 days, I didn't have any pain at all. And I was like, hold on, wow, this is incredible. And then on the third day, I went and saw my consultant, and he done the usual speech of "You're one step away from paralyzed. You're one step away from death." And I was like, right, okay. Got home, and lo and behold, what do you think happened? Pain came back. So I was now questioning things, though. I was questioning the pills. I was questioning the consultants. I was questioning the procedures and everything. And this went on. I had another set of injections in my spine before I went to Cancun, which I decided to book myself to Cancun. And originally, I didn't want to go to Cancun because it was a long flight, and I thought this is going to be quite hard doing a long flight with my back and my knees and everything. So I've forgotten where I was now. Where was I? Where were I? Spain.
You just went to Cancun. You
Oh,
chose that you wanted to
that's
go
right.
back to Cancun. Yep.
Thank you very much, bud.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, I just had the spinal injections. That was it, and they didn't do anything. And normally they give me a couple of months of like relief. Didn't do a thing. So I went to Cancun, and I'm known as the person who took 32 hours to get there. I got refused to fly at the airport. Unfortunately, I found someone from the Iberostar who sent me to Madrid, Madrid to Mexico City, then to Cancun. So 32 hours later, I got there. I walked in the doors, and I remember a green hat coming up to me, and she looked at me and she said, "It's okay." She said, "You're here now. You're safe. It's okay." And she gave me a big hug. I was like, this is strange. I don't even know this lady. And she's just giving me a big hug. So this event turned out to be crazy, absolutely crazy. Everyone had come from all over the world in the middle of COVID to get to this event. So the energy was sky high already. So I had 5 moments, 5 huge moments at that event. And I remember the first day, it was the blessing of the energy centers. And the first meditation we did, there was screaming in the room. And from that point forward, that set the bar. Every single meditation, people were screaming their heads off and everything. And it was going wild because there was so much energy going on. On day two, I'd just done the Mind movie and I was like, nah, not really sure about the Mind movie. I'd finished it. I'd put my tablet in my bag and my stomach started vibrating and then my hands and everything. And within 5 minutes, all of me was vibrating. So it was happening to me. And that was an absolutely crazy moment because I thought, where's this coming from? And I was just shaking. And that was pretty much where I was for the whole week, was shaking the entire week. So the next day, I had this meditation. I remember Dr. Joe explaining about turning your anger into love, turning your hatred into love, your frustration into love. And I did this meditation. It was really lovely, really beautiful meditation. Then all of a sudden, there was a face, literally face to face with me, and it was the abuser. And I had a split second where I wanted to rip his head off his shoulders. But in that moment, I had Dr. Joe in my head saying, turn that anger into love. And I'd thought about this guy, and I thought, what happened to him to make him be the way he was? What happened in his life? And I started feeling sorry for him. And then there was a little bit of compassion for him, and a very, very, very minuscule, tiny bit of love. But that's what's always all that was needed, really. And I forgave him in that moment. And oh, and I then started thinking about myself, the abuse that I put my body through when I was younger, and everything I'd done to it. So I'd said sorry to my body. And then I forgave myself for all the things that I'd done, which was possibly one of the biggest things I did. And I'll try not to get emotional now.
Let it out, brother. Feel you're all good, man.
And after that, I then thought to myself that you're not a bad guy. You're actually a nice person. And I loved myself for the first time ever in that moment. And that's what was needed. It was needed for me to love myself, forgive the abuser. And I went down to the beach. I went down to the beach and I had the craziest walking meditation. It was, I don't know which one it was. I think it's walking meditation 6 or something. Um, got all the way to the end. We lied down and everything. And I had the brain orgasm. And it wasn't a little one either. I mean, it must have been 45 minutes of peak orgasm. It was incredible. It was so good. um, so that
Yes, it is.
happened,
Yes,
and
it is.
I was mental. I had that happen as well, and I was thinking to myself, this is just crazy. What's going on? This is really crazy. The next day, I think it was, or the day after, we done the Noble Walk, and I've got to say, fuck me, was it a noble walk? I went to the beach. I've stood there, I put my headphones on, and it immediately felt like I had food poisoning. Um, I felt so ill, and I mean really, really, really rough. I was even thinking, shall I stop and lie down and just sit down? And I thought, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. So done, all the and all of that and everything, and got to the very end part where you're just about to lie down, and I'm standing there, and I'm literally praying that Dr. Joe's going to let us lie down. I'm thinking, come on, I want to lie down. I want to lie down. And the moment I lied down and my head hit the sand, the beach disappeared, the meditation disappeared, everything disappeared. It was completely black, completely and utterly quiet. And I loved it. 5 minutes of just complete bliss. But then it went I saw this pale greeny blue color. I thought, okay, what's going on here? And then I heard this noise like bubbles in water. And I've looked over to my left. Well, if I had eyes, I don't know, but I looked over to my left and I've seen this huge green dolphin with a massive green head. And it had green hexagonal emeralds for eyes. And I've looked and thinking, what? Huh? So, and I've realized that I'm swimming along with it. So it's dawned on me that I'm a baby dolphin and this is mummy dolphin. And mummy dolphins then looked at me, and the moment she looked at me, this feeling of love, nurturing, compassion, just 1,000 times more than I've ever felt in my life came over me. And all I kept hearing in my head was pretty much the same as what the green hat said, which was, it's okay. You're safe now. It's okay. Everything's all right. It's over. We've got you. And I kept hearing this over and over again. It was almost like 2 hours of swimming along with this dolphin. And eventually it sort of drifted away, misted away. And I started feeling the wind and the beach and everything and the warmth and that as well. And I've and I'm lying there just in awe, thinking, oh my God, this was absolutely incredible. And I've heard someone beside me snore. I was like, well, that person's going for it. And then I've heard it again. It was literally like they're in my ear. And I thought, what, have they moved over to me to snore or something? And then the third time I heard it, I opened my eyes and I coughed and the snoring stopped. And I realized it was actually me who was snoring, body asleep, mind awake. So it was nuts, absolutely nuts. I laughed my head off. I really did. So I've sat up and I had this utterly disgusting taste in my mouth. And the only way I can really explain this would be every pill that I've ever taken was crushed up, mixed with rusty water, and I gargled with it. It just tasted of chemicals and metal. I've had a bottle of water and spat all that out and everything. I walked back over to the food court and we sat down on the chair. And the chairs I'd found were really uncomfortable all week. I mean, properly uncomfortable. Just couldn't get comfy on them. And I've sat down, and I thought I sat on someone's jacket or a pillow or something. So I've stood up and I've looked back, and I'm looking around at all the chairs and everything. And I looked at my chair and thought, well, it's the same chair as everyone else's. And it didn't click, didn't dawn on me. So I sat down, I've gone like this, just scratched my head. And I remember doing this, and I remember lifting my arm thinking, my shoulder doesn't hurt. And my elbow doesn't hurt. And I'm standing up, I haven't sat down yet, and I'm doing this with my elbows and my shoulder, and I'm doing all of this and everything. And the lady's caught my eye, and she sort of looked at me. And then I'm moving my knees. My knees aren't hurting. So I thought, oh, right, this is crazy. So I sat down. I've twisted one way, twisted the other, and my spine's not hurting. And obviously, my face now was like this. This lady's walked straight over to me, right to my face, and she's looked me up, looked me down, looked me straight in the eye, and then said, "You have just transformed, haven't you?" Burst into tears, said, "Yes, I can't feel any pain at all." She dived on top of me, had a few other people all diving on top of me as well. And that was the moment that it happened. It is and the only thing I can explain here, because I've been thinking about this one for quite a long time. I wasn't healed physically at that event. I was healed remotely. They healed me remotely. And it wasn't until I got to the event and sorted my brain out, and my brain actually gave in. And it was almost like when I'd finished that meditation, that my body almost said to me, like, where have you been? We've been healed all this time. Where have you been? It's taken you so long. And it's quite simple to me that I healed my mind. I forgave myself. I forgave the abuser. That's what was needed to be done. But my mind being so powerful, because the doctors told me on day 3 after that remote healing that you're one step away from death, you're one step away from paralyzed, that it made it real. So
Mm.
my mind wouldn't let me be healed until I'd healed my mind. So that is my first transformation, guys. I'm going to stop there because I need a drink.
Wow. Wow, dude, thank you for sharing that. If anybody wants to say anything, please just know the floor is yours. We're gonna so he since Brad has 2 healings, if anybody wants to chime in now, feel free. Just put your
Yeah,
emoji hand up. If not, don't worry, but don't be shy. Because always, what ends up oh, thanks, Danielle. Ends up having one person, then a couple people. And then Brad's gonna share his next one. We'll chime in again. But dude, I just want to say thank you. Wow. That's that's it. That's it. That's it.
it's a big weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, and
It feels like
congratulations.
someone's stopped pushing on my shoulders all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I've not told many people that one.
Thank you.
It's
Really appreciate it.
yeah. No, thank you. Thank you.
Fucking love you, man. This is so great.
Love you too, bro.
Danielle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You did a great job of describing all of the steps. Um, I just had the question as you were talking. You're talking about the brain orgasm. I'm like, what does the brain orgasm feel like? Can you describe that?
I knew that would come up. No. Okay, this is one for the guys as well, but it's more the guys towards the women, because you ladies can have them last longer. Us guys, our job's done and dusted quite quickly.
If you do it incorrectly.
Well, in comparison.
Yeah.
But it if you imagine your peak moment of an orgasm, it was that for me for 45 minutes. It was the peak for 45 minutes, but it was an orgasm, an actual orgasm, but there, not down there. And my head was just all, I couldn't actually hear anything. All I could hear in my head was just because it was going crazy. Oh, that's all my body was doing. The whole body was vibrating at this crazy speed. But yeah, it is like Dr. Joe says. It's an orgasm, but it's not down there, it's up there. It's exactly the same, but it's up here. You're falling in love with your brain.
Mm.
And yeah, that's the only way I can explain it. It's exactly the same, but up there.
I want one of those.
You will. You fall on your sword like Brad did, which I think you do. Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
But I will say one thing though. It's better than sex. Put it that way.
I'm sure.
if it's
Yeah.
done incorrectly. No, no,
No,
but this
it's
is
better
what
than
you do.
sex.
No, it's no, it's like on that topic, it's instead of releasing, it's building up kind of, and then you experience what you experience. Like when you hold in instead of releasing out, it's a practice, but because we're not to get into this conversation, but we're like done. That's not how it's internalizing it. But yes, it's an amazing feeling though. But yeah, Danielle, you got that. You got it. All right, Thor.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna have a big smile. Thor, what's up, bro?
Bradley, I just want to say, man, that whole sorting my brain thing, that really hits home. So I really appreciate you saying that. And I think the healing part, I feel my body is healed. And I just keep on thinking, or my body's just catching up to my mind, or it's just catching up because I've been healed multiple times, and it's letting go enough to let the healing in. And it feels like that's what you did for yourself. And I just
That,
really appreciate hearing that. So
yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that transformation was definitely the mind had to be healed for the body to be healed.
Yeah.
But you'll find out differently on the second one. You'll find out
Excellent.
differently
Thanks.
on that one. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely quite apparent to me that that I needed to forgive myself and love myself. I think worthiness, because I've had lots of time to think about this. I think worthiness, I found it really hard to be worthy. I always found that everyone's condition, regardless of whether it was worse than mine or not, was worse. Just because I didn't feel worthy, I always thought everyone else deserved something more than me. But I find worthiness is, if you love yourself, worthiness comes with it. It's so for me, it was falling in love with myself, loving myself for the first time ever. That was the big change for me, I think, was that. So hope
Beautiful.
that helps.
It does.
Thanks, Thor. Yeah, one thing I love about your story is that a lot of people, one is, I mean, even if it was one side, one piece of it, a lot of people could relate to it. But there's so much, it's so multidimensional of what your process was to get to your point where you forgave, and that was what did it, right? The thorn out of the side, your allowance to forgive what hurt you. I mean, that's the process that I went through, was just forgiveness of what hurt me, and once that happened, everything just changed. And it's hearing your story sounded very parallel with how, like, the process of what I went through, like when I went through what you went through in my own way.
Yeah.
So
do you agree at all though? Can you relate to, I think sometimes for me anyways, I feel like for most of my life I was thinking that I had to forgive the other person who wronged me. But I think what we hold on to, what our bodies are holding on to, and the indication of whether we love ourselves or not, it's the thing that actually is stuck in our body is our reaction to it, and it's forgiving ourselves. That's just a huge, because the other person, it's like I think your body knows that's their thing, but the fact that you took their reaction to mean you're not worthy, that you deserve it, that you, like, forgiving all that, I think is the powerful part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think for me to forgive him, because I think for me to forgive him helped me then be able to forgive myself. I think I needed to forgive him first for me to forgive myself and to love myself. So yeah, I agree. I think it would be that, because if I hadn't have had him pop up in that meditation, I probably wouldn't have gone down the route of I need to forgive myself. So yeah, I think forgiving the abuser was a big one. Yeah. I think all of them were, actually, all three, which is forgiving yourself and the abuser and loving yourself. I think they're three very powerful things.
It's Bev, this was awesome. It's so cool because it's like all of a sudden, from what Bev says, it takes you back to that time where you're like, I love you, and then you're like, I love you too, but you're talking to yourself, like you're literally talking to yourself. I love you. I love you.
I just remember when Dr. Joe, it took me the longest time. I'd listen to him, and in his meditations, he'd be like, love yourself enough to do this. And he'd talk about like loving life and loving you. And even though I was listening and I was trying to relate, like deep inside, I wasn't relating. I
Yeah.
couldn't connect to what he was saying. I didn't understand what that felt like or what that even was. But the concept made sense. But until I forgave and then realized just it's like it's so I can't even describe it's not like it's just realizing, I guess, your interpretation of the incidents and how that was just letting go of that was really, really powerful. Yeah. It's a beautiful story. Thank you so much.
That's
And
all
I know
right.
you've got more to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bev. Bev was a guest on Sunday Night Journeys too. Bev has
Hey,
healed
cool.
her body of cancer.
Oh,
Superstar.
wow.
Let's go. Let's go, Bev. And I love Brad. I love just the metaphors within your stories too. Just where you said where your body's hurt, and then look at how much you were carrying, and just the symbolism of that, which is all true. If you know anything about healing, we all make ourselves sick, and reverse engineering it, and the way that you took the weight off of yourself metaphorically made your body better.
Yeah,
So cool.
definitely.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? If not, we'll get rolling to part 2 of this show. This is so cool. I love this. We got such a great community. Yeah. And oh, hey, Heather, I just saw your smile. What's up? Heather doesn't stop smiling, and I love it. I appreciate it. There we go. All right, cool. All right, let me make sure I have everything here. And by the way, Brad, you're doing such a great job. Just so you know, in case you were thinking about it, you sound smooth as can be.
I'm trying not to think about it.
Oh, whoops! Now you got it in your head. Thank you. I appreciate everything. Mary Claire just wrote, "Thank you all. This conversation is opening my heart. Tears, good tears." I agree, Mary Claire. Thanks for sharing that. Mary Claire in Green Bay, represent. All right, yeah, let's dive into it, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, you kind of take it away, brother.
Okay, then, mate. Okay, so right, where are we? All right, so before I went to Cancun, 2 months before that, my dad had his first stroke. I couldn't see him at all because it was COVID time. We weren't allowed in the hospitals to see him or anything.
Sorry, really, this is 2018 or 19, right?
This is 2000. That was 2021.
Okay,
That
got
was when he just had his first stroke. He spent 6.5 months in hospital, and he done really well. And he had a full right-sided stroke, so he was paralyzed down the whole of the right side. He got back all of his motion and everything except his right arm. So he done really well. But 18 months later, he had a second stroke, and he was in hospital then for 7.5 months. This time, and he came out of hospital, and he was doing really well. Actually, he was doing well. He was walking. He was getting back on track. But then there was a little bit of a dip towards him coming out. And 3 weeks after he got out, he went back into hospital. He'd taken a massive dive, and we got him into hospital. They did a brain scan on him and found out that he had a brain tumor. Within 2 days, my mum was in hospital as well. She had super low SATs, below 80. She was on oxygen for a week. Found out that she'd had an allergic reaction, which caused an acute asthma attack. So she was in there 2 days after my dad. So I got my mum and dad in hospital. 3 days after my mum went in hospital, my daughter had a gymnastics accident. And she came into hospital with a huge hematoma. She'd burst a blood vessel in her groin. So I had my mum and dad and my daughter in the same hospital in the same week. My mum made a full recovery. My daughter made a full recovery. But my dad, we soon learned that it was inoperable. I also had a lot going on with my business at the time. I did have quite a few people working for me. I've got a boat company on the River Thames, and I was doing all the work myself because I didn't have any staff. I'd lost most of them in COVID. And I was doing all the work myself, all the sales myself, the accounts myself, and we had a few customers wanting to take us to court because of faults of our manufacturers. Very stressful time. And after my dad got out, I was trying to process all of this, and I couldn't process it all. I was finding it a real big struggle. And that's when I went down to the studio, which is where I am now. I'm sitting in the studio, and I started playing on the keyboard, and I found, because I love music and I've been making music for 15 years and I never released anything. I just used to enjoy making it. And I sat down there and tinkered around on the keyboard, and I started making a track. And as I was making it, it was like a problem shared is a problem halved. So it was like I was getting my emotion out and putting it into the music. And I was sad that I was going to lose my dad, because he turned out that he had the most aggressive tumor of all. I was sad to lose him, but I was also really proud of everything he'd done. And I put this into the track that I made, which is called Love to Life, because I wanted to love him into life. And that track is the one that's used in the Dr. Joe events. So this really helped me process everything. Unfortunately, 8 weeks later, my dad passed away and I was by his side. And there's one thing I said to him, which in hindsight, I wish I'd have not said actually, but I should have said it differently. As he'd passed away, I bent down to him and said, you know, I love you and have a lovely journey back home, and I'll see you soon. And what I should have said is I'll see you in quite a few years' time, but I shouldn't have said see you soon actually, because as soon as I said I'll see you soon, I got this pain between my shoulder blades. The pain got more and more, and it felt like I'd pulled a muscle, because obviously I've had back things in the past, so I know what spasm in your back is like. And I thought I had a spasm, so I was just trying to stretch it all and everything, and it wasn't working. Within 10 minutes, I was upstairs. I thought I'd lie down because I wasn't feeling too great. So I'd lied down, burst into a sweat, and now I'm getting pain in my chest as well. Both of my arms are like lead weights. I can't pick them up. And I realized then that having a heart attack. So here's a funny moment for you. So I thought, okay, I need to slow things down. And as I thought I'll slow things down and I need to breathe, I heard this voice in this ear here. And it was like I had someone lying in the bed with me. And they've turned around and said, take a breath all the way to the top and hold it and exhale. And I had Dr. Joe doing the box breath with me, which was crazy, but it was really helping. So I was doing the breath and I could just hear Dr. Joe in my head say, take a breath and ready to exhale. And so this went on. Where are we now? There we go. I got to the hospital and it took over an hour and 45 minutes for me to get to the hospital. The ambulance took over an hour and 20 minutes to get to me. And because it took so long, and then I also found out that I had the most deadly heart attack of all, which is a myocardial infarction, which was a STEMI, occluded STEMI, which means a complete blockage of the coronary artery. I found out that my heart had been really damaged because of the length of time that it had gone without any oxygen to it. So I had a scan a few days after, because I was in hospital a little while, and it showed that my heart, 50% of it wasn't working at all. It had died. So I I didn't really know what to think about this, and I'd been told that I had something called an ejection fraction, which is how well your heart pumps, was only at 35%. Most people's is around 50 to 60%, and above 60 is above average, which is good. And going towards 65, 70 is athlete level. So I was told mine was 35. I was also told that I would expect to see a 5% increase over time, but it will take some months. And if I'm really lucky, I might see a 10% increase. And it's not unheard of, but quite rare with what I've had and the length of time I went without oxygen. was I might see a 15% increase. So if I'm super, super lucky and a miracle happens, I might get to 50%, which is the bottom of the normal range. So I had this in my mind about this, and I obviously, like Robbie said, I'm vulnerable. I was feeling very vulnerable, very fragile. So I came out of hospital, and I wasn't really allowed to do anything, actually. I wasn't even allowed to go out for 4 weeks. I wasn't allowed to do a thing. But eventually I was allowed to go down the cabin. So I thought, all right, I'm allowed to walk down the cabin twice a day, down the garden twice a day. This is what it was like. It was real slow steps. And eventually I thought, okay, well, I'll go down the cabin and I'll stay down there for a while. So I said to myself, I'm going to make one track each month. So for the next 6 months, I made one track per month. So I was just going down there, and all I was going to do is just write music to how I was feeling, my emotion that I was feeling at the time. And got around to sort of February time. I'd done my remote coherence. Sorry, I'd done my my cardio rehabilitation. I was also having remote coherence healings from the One Heart Tribe healing group for 9 weeks. So I had 9 of those. So I was feeling stronger and stronger as time went by. I then had a phone call with my consultant in April, I think it was, and he told me that if my EF didn't go up, if my ejection fraction didn't go up by 10% or more, I'd have to have an implant. Now, I know implants are great and they've saved everyone's lives and they're absolutely fantastic bits of high-tech kit, but in my mind, this is just me, it felt like it was the end for me. I didn't want one. I didn't want one at all, actually. So this really gave me a whopping kick up the arse, and I thought, right, I've done this once before. I can do this again. So I started doing these meditations of Dr. Joe's, but I found every single one that had heart in, so courageous heart, heart brain coherence, all the ones for your heart. And I was just solely focusing on my heart. And on the 3rd day of doing these meditations, and it was every day I was doing it, on the 3rd day, now I normally have meditation, I'm quite visual, so I usually see maybe colors swirling in and out of, and this sort of mistiness, this mistiness sort of going on. And this 3rd day, it went just red, blood red. I was right, okay. And then I saw these little circles bouncing into each other. I was thinking, okay, I'm not quite sure what that is. But then I saw, like, we were in a tunnel. There was this tunnel, and there was these little red things blobbing around everywhere. Everything came into focus, and I suddenly realized, it dawned on me that I was actually in my artery, and the things beside me were blood cells. So I've looked to my right, and there's this massive cell here. I've looked to my left, there's another massive cell here. And we're moving slowly, not moving fast, just slowly. I've suddenly got down to a bit, and I've seen this branch, which looks this shape. Now, I know from my x-rays that there's a branch here where I had my stent put. So I've stopped at this branch and thought, well, my stent must be over there. So I've turned round and looked at my stent. Ooh, hello, stent. I'd seen my stent. So I thought, oh, wow, this is just mental. So I thought, I'm going to go that way because I'm trying to heal my heart. And I know that that's the bit that was damaged. So I went down, whether it's an artery or a vessel now, I don't know. But I went down my artery or vessel with these 2 big cells beside me and moving along. Now, these cells and all the other cells I'd seen were they had light coming off of them. So it was very bright everywhere. It was nice and bright. And I went down a bit further and all of a sudden it went dark. And I've seen this darkness in front of me. And I've turned around and looked to the side and it's light behind me and dark in front of me. And I've made out cells in front of me. And like you get meadows or rolling hills. As I could see these cells going right off into the distance, thousands and thousands of cells, but there was 3 in front of me, big ones. And I looked at the cell and thought, well, we're a light. Surely we can just light you up. So the moment I thought we can light you up, I started seeing this sort of scaffolding going around this one cell in the middle. It was like an exoskeleton, but it was a hexagon shape again, just like the dolphin. It was a hexagon shape, and hexagon. It made like a hexagonal sphere, if you want to call it that, like an exoskeleton thing. I thought, okay, well then let's send it some light. and this light shot out from these two cells and me, and it suddenly lit up. So, well, if I can do it to that one, then I can do it to these two. And as I thought that, this scaffold stuff started wrapping round and everything. Light came out, boom, they lit up. Okay. So, and now I'm looking around all these other thousands of cells, and I thought, well, maybe I can. And before I even finished thinking this, I saw all this stuff wrapping around all these cells everywhere, all this like foily exoskeleton around all these cells in the distance. I thought, right, well, let's light it up. So I lit it up, and this massive amount of light came out, and I saw the whole hillside of cells, if you want to call it that, do this wave, and the whole lot were lit up. Everything, boom, went into light. So now I'm like, wow, this is super cool. And this went on day after day. It went on for probably about 2 months. I was doing this, and finally, well, as I was doing this, I was sort of going further down the artery or the vessel, whichever one it is. I was going down and I was finding patches that were dark and lighting them up. So I was doing this every day. And after about 2 months, I'd done one meditation and I went down into the cells, woo, hello, stent, you know, same thing again, and got down and everything was light. And I was looking around, everything was light. And I thought, well, what does my heart look like? And as I thought that, I saw my heart in front of me, slowly sort of rotating. Every single part of it had light beaming out of it. So I'm like, right, well then I'm healed. Because I'm a GDV specialist, and I know full well that if there's light coming off of an organ, that is an incredibly good sign. So I saw this and thought, well, there isn't any dark patches on it. So I've got another 3 weeks until my scan. I'm healed. Put that to one side. As far as I'm concerned, I was healed. That was it. There was no doubt at all. I'm healed. Bush. Move that to one side. So then I thought to myself, what's the consultant's letter going to be like? What's that going to be like? So I started meditating on what it would be like to have if you want to call it, perfect letter come through. So then I started thinking a bit more about it. I thought, okay, so I need an EF of 50, really, is what I need. I want an EF of 50. But then I thought, well, no, I'm an all or nothing person. So I thought, no, I want an EF of 65%. I want to be above average. I want to be more like athlete level. So I was meditating on this for about 3 weeks, and I was imagining what it was going to be like. I was imagining all the you know, it would say it was perfect and everything's fine and you're discharged from care and everything. So I went and had my scan, and I went and had my scan, got that done, and then I waited for the results. And it being the NHS, I had to wait 2 weeks for the results, longest 2 weeks ever. And I remember opening that letter and just skimming through it. And it was a very short letter. And from my experience over the years, I know that if you get a short letter from the hospital, it's a good thing. If you get a long one, it's not so great. So I've read the letter or skimmed across it, and I've seen the word substantial, significant, discharged from care. So I've read the letter. And it said, Mr. White, who was previously presented with an EF of 35%, has had a significant increase and is now 64%. And I've read further along, and it says there are no wall or valve abnormalities whatsoever, and his heart is virtually perfect. And it says, because of this, I'm now discharging him from my care. So I got exactly, I actually think it was 65%. It wasn't 64, I think it was 64.99. But it turned out exactly as what it was in my meditation. So that was it. I was healed. It was done. Yes. But I was just in awe at the fact that it was exactly as I wanted it in the meditation. I wanted it to be 65%. It was 64. I was told there was no way that I would be able to get up to near that level, near 60. There's absolutely no way. It's not possible because of how damaged it was. But that just shows you what meditation can do. You can do the incredible. So thank you before I burst into tears.
Let him out. Oh my God. Dude, that's one of the most remarkable stories I've ever heard. Wow.
I'm so proud of me for doing that. I'm seriously, I'm so fucking proud of me for doing this, for healing my heart. It's just incredible. And, you know, and so much thanks to the One Heart Tribe as well for doing their thing as well. But it, you know, to have a healing at an event, you put it down to the event. But then when you heal yourself like this over time, I think that I find that a massive, massive win. I find that just so much bigger than the previous one, is because I've done it on my own and I didn't need an event to go to be able to achieve it. So, you know, that's for me, it's just incredible. The second one, I'm so chuffed with myself for that.
Wow. Seriously, it felt unreal listening to you. Like just watching you speak for a while, I got very lost in it. Just how you were, the knowingness of what you're talking about, the direction and the target, the intent that you were, what you were doing. It's just you were in full control, and the balance was heard within how you just shared that with us. And people put your hands up if you want to talk. I'll read the
Thank you.
chat. What's it called? Yeah, man. Just watching you, I felt everything, like it, of what you were saying. The truth came out right there, and you laid out a blueprint that people might have had a little doubt of, and there's no doubt. You know, it's just knowingness and intent and trust. So thank you for everything you just shared, dude. I'm at a
Thank
loss
you.
of words. I'm gonna let it absorb for a little bit. Sean, my brother, what's up?
Bradley, thank you so much for your sharing, your openness, your heart, your journey. Um, Holy moly. I'm I want to express what I'm feeling. Gratitude points to it, but I don't have the words right now, so I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Um, how does this impact how you move forward in life? How do you approach every day differently? I can't imagine that the days look anything like they used to, knowing what you know, how important, how powerful our focus is.
Um, the meditation and that side of things has become more important than ever, I think. And since the heart attack and everything being flipped upside down, um, it's it it's been difficult. But I'll be honest, I've spent so long concentrating on my heart that every single one of my other emotions that I felt from when my dad passed away in my heart attack. And also, I didn't tell you that just 2.5 months ago, my little dog of 17 years passed away. And he was my rock, my absolute rock. He really was. Um, but I pushed everything out the way, and now um, I'm having to deal with all of that now. I'm having to deal with the emotion of my dad, of the heart attack, of my losing my dog. I'm having to deal with that now because all I did was just solely focus on my heart and my heart only. So physically, it's done. Physically sorted. But psychologically, it's still going on. It's still happening, and I'm still doing that at the moment. It's a work in progress, that one, which is why I came on here to share it with you guys as well, because I totally lost my confidence last year. And a bit of it's come back now. So, but day by day, I think it's a day by day process, isn't it? Really, you take each day as it comes, isn't it? I hope that's answered your question and I haven't rambled on.
No, I'm as I'm so glad you answered the way you did, because I want to say, like, brother, you've got a beautiful community. You know this, but we can't hear it enough. You're in the middle of the journey, not at the end of it, it sounds. So
Yeah.
uh we're here. I'm here. I God, if ever there's anything I could ever say or do, uh, I'm there.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And
Yeah.
that's something else I was going to say is our community. It's very special. It's a very, very special community to meet people like you guys. And we're all on this, we're not on the same journey, but we are on the same path, which is that way. And to be able to relate with anyone in the community, and they just, you just understand each other, and it's not possible to be able to have these conversations outside of the community because you just hit with a brick wall with people doing this sort of thing, and not, you know, they don't care, they don't want to listen. So our community is really special. It's a very, very special community, and with the support of loads of my friends as well, pushing me, edging me on, telling me, you've done this before, you can do it again, you can do it again, brother, you know, you've got this. That's also what helped as well, like Robbie as well, you know, edging me on, keep on doing this. And 3 times he asked me to come on here, and the 3rd time I accepted. The other 2 times I bottled out. So so it's taken me 3 attempts to get here, but it needed to be done for me to continue on my journey. So
Beautiful, brother.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, Sean, every emotion that you came on with was everything I was feeling. I'm feeling like everything that you just exuded. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, what happened to my screen? Oh, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to read some comments here. My heart, this is from Julie. My heart just burst hearing your story. Thank you. Thank you. James, remarkable. Caroline, wow. Thank you for sharing your journey. Edward, just tears, heart. Oh, crap. Sorry. I don't have my mouse on me. I don't use PCs. Everything goes crazy with these mouses. I'm like here and it's controlling my mouse pad. How is that happening? All right. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Joe is such a genius and he teaches us to be as well. We are geniuses, guys. That's the whole beautiful thing. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. What a beautiful, inspiring story. Thank you for sharing, Bradley. Curious as to which event you went to in 2021. So that's from Karen.
Brainstorm. And it was a brainstorm. It was an absolute brainstorm. Yeah.
Karen. So that was in Cancun too, right?
Yeah. They're
So
all Cancun.
brainstorm.
Cancun. It's all the way Cancun. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, Yvonne, 1 sec. I see your hand up. So Andrew, hey, Robbie, will you post a recording of Bradley share? I know someone who really needs this. Yes, I will. I'll have a YouTube link for everybody. It's 10:10, by the way. From Diana, that was amazing. You spoke your truth and you healed, and you are healed. What an amazing journey. And that, again, I can't overemphasize, and to this community, tie both of those together. Like everything you said, I'm like, yep. I'm like, yep, yep. I know exactly everything you felt within the journey that you went through. Like everything, I could relate to everything that you said. From Suzanne, you're inspiring. It fills my heart and gives me great hope. Damn right, Suzanne. It's all there. It's all there. That's the power right there. What Bradley just shared, everything, what he just said showed what is possible. It's belief. It's belief. From Cosette, you are such a huge inspiration. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your amazing journey. From thank you, Cosette. Love you, Cosette. From Mary Claire, after my open heart surgery, my ejection fracture has been low. You have forever changed my consciousness by opening your heart and story to us. You are
Brilliant.
Yeah, this is hard to read. You are my 4-minute mile. Thank you. One heart. That's from Mary Claire. And see, I had no idea that you went through that, Mary Claire. I'm very close. See, this, I'm telling you, ripple effect, man. Thank you, Mary Claire. Wow. Very timely and meaningful share. Thank you for sharing your experience and opening your heart in front of us. That's from iPhone. From Angela Dutton, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. So much love. Okay, a couple more messages, then Yvette. From Susie, beyond powerful and inspiring. Amen, sister. From Haggett, you're so inspiring. Thank you for your courage to share. From Heather, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story. And then Caroline, well said. Thank you. The community is, this is about community. From Caroline, well said. Thank you. The community is amazing. Really appreciate you, Bradley, and feel so grateful. Robbie asked you to share with us and that you have accepted. Let's go. Oh, the iPhone's Jillian. And then from Holly Miner, I am inspired. Thank you for all your dedication doing the work. Vulnerability, baby. The V word, vulnerability. All right, Yvette.
Yvonne.
Oh shit, sorry, Yvonne.
That's okay.
And I know your name, and
It's
I
a
know who you
common,
are. I know who you are too. Sorry.
it's a common mistake. No problem. Bradley, I just have to say do I say this? There's a lot of parallels in the belief that you're healed and being able to hold on to it. And thank you for sharing that because I need to hear it. I just came back from Marco. I was a healee and I had a healing, my first event, Dr. Joe, I had the heart orgasm, all of that. But I lost my healing when I came home. And I went through 2 years of a lot more turmoil inside myself and change and stress. So the fact that you're sharing the entire, both sides of this is really helpful to me. And I guess my question is this second healing where you visualized everything, was it a big moment or was it one of those quiet moments that you just knew? It sounds like it was completely inside your mind and heart, and you didn't have to have that big moment saying, I know I'm healed, because this big thing happened. My body shook and I screamed and all this stuff was just completely obvious.
Mm.
So yeah, this is why I wanted to share both of them with you. Is because they're two extremes really. One is, you're healed in the event, you're having these big moments, you're having, the brain orgasm, the mystical moment and all of that. But this one, no, there was no mystical moment. There was no big orgasm or anything like that. It was just day after day, keep on doing it, keep on being there, keep on being there for my heart, keep on doing it over and over and over again. And there wasn't any big moment. No, it was just me visualizing it. But the visualization, I've got to say, it was more like a lucid dream. I wasn't dreaming at all. I know I wasn't dreaming at all, because every day it was pretty much exactly the same thing I was seeing. But it was visualization, and it was
Mhm.
feeling. It was feeling. There was no doubt in my mind, absolutely none whatsoever. And I think that's quite an important point, that there shouldn't be any doubt. Doubt's in the future or the past. It's not in the present. So I had no doubt. I had no doubt at all. It was just because I'd done it once before. It's like, I am going to heal, or I want to heal, or I am going to be healed. It is, I am healing. I am, not I am going to. So I think it's a very big difference in what you're saying, in what you say, to yourself. But I just knew through and through that I was doing it. Yeah. And there was no question in my mind I was not doing it.
That's really helpful. Thank you. My journey is visualizing my blood healed, and your descriptions really helped. So I'm I'm doubling down. I'm getting more focused, and I know that if you did it, I can do it.
Yeah, definitely. And Yvonne,
Thank you.
I want to say something to you as well, sweetheart. It is when oh, hold on a minute, my phone started ringing. That's not good. I've sort of forgotten what I was going to say now. My train of thought's gone.
Yvette was sharing that if you can do it, I can do it. And you said, I want to share something with you, Yvonne. Sorry, Yvonne.
Yvonne, yeah, Yvonne.
I don't even know any Yvettes.
Fuck it. Do you know, it's completely gone. It's completely gone. I was just about to say something and it's gone. This is the unfortunate thing with my brain, is the
No,
fact that
it's good.
things
It
just
means you're
drop
present.
out instantly like that.
I
But you
finally
just
met
keep.
somebody else who could do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice knowing Robby. He loses things out of his brain as well, so that's good. If it comes back to me, Yvonne, I'll say, or I'll mention it to you. Okay, sorry.
And Yvonne, just on that note, I love the painting or your picture that's behind your wall. I just caught the top left quote. I was like, that's what's up.
Oh,
It has every. There we go, Brad.
I've got it. This is what it's like. It's come back to me straight away. So oh my God, my brain is all over the place at the moment. I'm sorry.
It's all good, brother.
It just came back to me and now it's gone again. Carry on talking, Robbie, and it'll
I
come
love
back.
it. So Yvonne, the painting, the poster behind you, the top left
Yeah.
one, what does that say? So if you can.
Well, so to kind of let you know, this is my healing. I call it more of a cave because it's really dark. But we're in Phoenix, Arizona at Mayo Clinic. And this is our temporary home. We live in Costa Rica. And so none of this is my artwork. I've taken quite a few down that just talk about wine and drinking and beer. There was one behind me at one point that I was going on a video call with a doctor, and I was like, oh, that has to come down. So yeah, it's just follow your heart, embrace every possibility, dream big. Now I'm reading the things that are sticking out to me right now. I don't remember seeing them before. Never give up. Life is beautiful. Everything happens for a reason. That I believe there are no accidents. Be yourself, smile often, create your own happiness. If you can dream it, you can become it. I think I'm going to start reading this every day now. Thank you,
Yeah,
Robbie.
yeah. I was gonna say that's like pretty much a conclusion of everything that Brad just said on a piece of paper of what he put.
All you need is love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have remembered what I said. I have now, and I've even wrote it down to make sure.
Say it. Say it.
I thought I'm going to have to say this because I wanted to say something really important. You said about your healing went away. Okay. Even though my spine is healed, I just want to let you know this is because when my dad started getting ill and everything was getting so stressful, yeah, I started getting little reminders to start doing meditations because my back started twinging. And that's the little reminder to me is every time that I start feeling any little pinch in my back, get down and meditate straight away. And then by the time I'm done, I've got the tingling in my back again and I can't feel anything. So that's my pain reliever basically, is doing the meditation every day. Whether I've still got the condition or not, I haven't got a clue because I don't speak to the consultants or doctors or anything anymore. So I don't know
Yeah,
whether I
that
have the condition, but
I
I don't have the
appreciate
pain.
that.
Yeah.
The coming back from Marco, everybody had big moments, but the healers in my group had these feelings. And I believe that maybe it's in my mind because my bones and my spine are so fragile right now, um, that that's what I've been told, right? So I believe it. It's somewhere in there, I believe it. But I didn't have the big moment. I'm thinking, boy, if my body is bouncing around, I could injure myself more. But the beings came in and they were felt and seen by at least one person in my group. And the people around me were feeling things in their body that then were healed in me.
Mm.
And I believe that that was the message. Like, you can imagine this any way you want. You don't want to bounce around and around the ground on the ground and deal, you have that. We'll still heal you. We're still going to be there for you. We're still going to do this. The one thing I have noticed is I've been dealing with gut issues for so long, probably since COVID. It really came on. And I've had a Thanksgiving meal with gluten and sugar and all kinds of things, no reaction. I've been going to a gastroenterologist that they wanted me to go to. I have had no problems since Marco, and I'm ready to say I don't need you anymore. So, and the other thing that's kind of beautiful about it is I haven't been able to get chemo since I got back because Dan brought home the dispensa influenza, aka COVID, which I ended up getting, but I've been able to be off all of that and feel good and feel fabulous. So I take that as a win. I take that as a healing, and thank you. I'm going to go do my big meditation right after this call too. So thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for your vulnerability as well. And yeah, definitely check that poster out behind you. I just want to say two things. One is I'm going to reach out to you on the side just with just a folder of stuff I could share with you if you're interested. Okay, just about with what your body's going through. And I do want to say, just like with my experience that I had, it just has to do with everything with Brad's mindset and his story. I had experiences where I've been told that I've helped people heal themselves. Nobody can heal anybody but themselves. So, and when the biggest impact of me seeing that was something I went through, where I was told that I healed somebody of something with my, with whatever happened to me through the process. They looked at me and said, "I am healed." And about a month later, everything came back because they said I healed them. I didn't do anything. I just balanced it out to the point where they could heal themselves. Right. So I just want to say that because I think that's a really important part of Brad's journey, is knowing that he's doing this. He did this, and you can too. I can too. We all can. It's that belief system of knowingness is of you did it, dude. And it's really powerful. And we all got that in here. And that's why I love hearing stories like this. It's so powerful. It's all real. It's all truth. So Yvonne, thank you again for your vulnerability, and you got this. Let's go. You got it. Thanks, Brad. James, then Susie.
Hey, Brad, you're such a light. I appreciate what you've shared today. It's just, it's just incredible. There's no words that can ever suffice to say. Just you're a great light. Thank you for sharing it. I'm sure it's affected every one of us in a positive way. On your first healing, I had a question though. You made a comment that you were healed remotely. You just had to get out of the way. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. After the remote coherence healings that I had the 2 days of no pain whatsoever afterwards. But the moment that I saw the doctor and he said the usual spiel of, could be paralyzed, you could die and all of this, the pain came straight back instantly that evening after seeing him. So going forward and then doing the retreat, the week-long retreat, then afterwards thinking about it, it's pretty obvious to me that, yeah, the healing did work, but there was so much going on in my head with all the, the abuse and everything as well, and the things I'd done to myself, that my brain just made it so it was so powerful that it refused to let me be healed. It kept on making me feel like I wasn't healed, basically, because I wasn't healed up here. So yeah, the remote coherence healing, I'm damn sure that they sorted out me physically. But what was needed was the mental side of things sorted, because I just wasn't letting myself be healed.
You were just getting in the way.
Yeah, I was so in the way. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
I got you now.
This is where I kind of got that feeling of the big change when I had the Noble Walk. When I had that big moment then, the mystical moment, it was the body just gave me this signal of like, what you've been doing? We've been waiting so long for you to sort yourself out. We're already been there. We're already healed,
That's
And
amazing.
it wasn't until I sorted my brain out that, yeah, everything, the jigsaw puzzle went together.
Yeah, so it seems to me like we have to be always on ourselves, on monitoring our thoughts, because we can get in our own way. So
Yeah,
that's very profound.
very
Thank you.
different for the second one, though, isn't it? I mean, the second transformation was very different to the first one, because now I'm sorting out my head, and I sorted out the physical first.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks, James. So Susie, and then we're going to get to a couple questions that are in the chat about music. So I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Susie, you're up. Hey, John, what's up, brother?
Good. Glad I could jump in.
Let's go.
Bradley, thank you so much for being here with all of us and sharing it. I'm feeling nervous to even talk right now. Your story is very, very powerful, and I was actually coming in here for certain parallels, I thought, when Robby had mentioned it, but now I found there's even more. And how, going back to your first healing, you said it was really important to forgive your abuser. And then Bev also mentioned, and I liked what she said as well, that it's important to forgive yourself in that. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, how big of a piece do you really, do you think that is like a critical piece for you to go to those other steps? I'm just curious because that's my question.
Okay. So, I mean, I think through my thought pattern, because I forgave the abuser, I immediately went to myself to then forgive myself. Whether I would have forgiven myself without forgiving the abuser, I don't know. I can't really answer that one, but I think it was as a whole. I think it's forgiving him was a little bit, but for me, I still think loving myself for the first time ever, because it was the first time I can't remember ever loving myself ever. And after that meditation, it just, everything felt different, felt so different. You know, I was in love with life. I was in love with everyone around me. Everything was amazing all of a sudden, you know, and the trees look beautiful. You know, it's like you get to Cancun and they're just palm trees. By the end of the week, oh, palm tree, you know, you got your arms around the palm tree and everything. And it was just, everything seemed more beautiful after that. Before that, everything seemed very dim and dark. It's the only way I can sort of explain it. But I think it, as a whole, because there's the abuser and everything, because the abuser was my dad's best friend. So there was a lot of, you know, resent, and there was lots of emotions and everything about that. I was angry with him for, you know, doing this to my parents. So I had all of this going on. But no, I think as the whole, I think I had to do all three. I had to forgive myself, I had to forgive him, and I had to love myself. I definitely had to love myself, though. Definitely.
And then look what showed up behind you, that big ass heart.
Yeah, it all boils down to love, really. It really does. You know, if you love yourself, you'll feel worthy. If you love yourself, you'll love other people. I think, you know, if you love your heart, look what happens. So you just got to keep love. Fall in love with yourself over and over again every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. And yeah, it's all love. It's all love. It's, you're connecting the dots, and then boom, look what happened. Bev.
I feel compelled to just share this. I don't know if it's going to resonate with anyone, but but sometimes we talk about you know, a lot of times a lot of people in this work talk about trauma, and I was trying to figure out, just thinking about trauma, and there's I mean, I was trying to figure out just specific about my daughter. I'm like, she hasn't gone through, like, what's traumatic in her life? I don't know. I don't understand why she should be dealing with all this stuff. I think a lot of some of it's generational, but I heard something, and I just want to share it because I heard it and it really resonated with me. But this guy was saying that when he was like in elementary school, he was working on a project, and you know, the school brought instructions home, and they kind of expected the parents to help them with the project. But he just started working on it, and his dad came over and he said, "Oh, you know what? Why don't we do it this way? Because that's not what the instructions said." And no one would think that was traumatic, but he realized that his interpretation is, "I don't know how to do things. I can't do it right." Now, it's like no fault to anyone, but like when you think about like the fact that your brain is developing, we're like interpreting what's going on in our lives up until we're 7 and kind of like creating that belief. So it just, to me, it opened up my eyes to what are the things that could actually be in our psyche that make us not think we're lovable, that make us not think we're good enough. It's not necessarily this horrific abuse. It could just be these stories we tell ourselves, these beliefs that we create based on, you know, what could the dad have done? Who knows? He meant well. Maybe he could have said, you know, that's really great, but let's do it this way. But like, it's not his fault. There's no fault at all. It's just basically our strange humanness and how we interpret various things that happen in our lives. And to me, that just opened up it just opened up so many more ideas and possibilities for overcoming to allow the love to come in.
I 100%, sorry, if anybody else has anything to say, please do. But yeah, I understand what you're saying 100%. That's why like the system that these kids get put into is not right. They're getting put into like this linear line that doesn't make sense, that creates what you just said. Having said that, it's all love, right? But it makes so much sense. Yes, because it's like my whole life. It's like, you can't read. It's like, no, I was absolutely not interested in what you were showing me to read. I read a lot, but as a kid, I thought I couldn't read. You know what I mean? So I know exactly what.
That's so true. That bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I don't want to read things that aren't real.
Yep. And I'm just saying that because like I said before, when I was thinking about like self-love, I honestly couldn't even understand where to go for that. I couldn't understand, like, how do you get to that point where you're like, it just didn't, there's no connection. And then once you kind of find something, not even, I don't know, once you lift something up, all of a sudden it just shows up, right? Once you get that, whatever it is out of the way, it just can come in. So, yeah.
I love, exactly. You just said self-love. And I remember I asked the question like 6 months ago to myself and to everybody. It's like, do we love ourselves? Because we're so consumed with saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah, we have love, but when have you directed it towards yourself? And then you come to that realization of like what you just said. You're like, holy shit, I haven't loved myself. Then that just creates this whole other thing. Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you very much, Bev, for sharing all that. All right, so let me read some comments really quick. So there's a couple things on music. I'm going to read them and then we'll focus on music really quick. And then I'm going to try to see if we could actually fade out the show to one of Brad's songs so we could just listen to it to fade out on that. Cool. All right, so Karen said, I recently found out you are a musician. After listening, I want to thank you for sharing your beautiful music. I look forward to hear more. And again, it's when you hear the story behind the music, it has this power. It's like what me and Brad are doing, the Awaken experience together with the quantum scopes and the breath, and hearing the story behind it, knowing it, it turns into what its true purpose is, which is to uplift, inspire, and motivate you to your true self. And just having that energy behind it now just makes the music even more profound. From Holly, so profound. Oh, profound. So profound how you describe, this is Holly Miner, so profound how you described the delay in healing your mind in Cancun after your body was healed during the remote healing. There was a lot in there, the whole process to get to worthiness. It takes time to get everything in coherence. Exactly. Many, many things. Yeah, we're literally adjusting a grandfather clock. You got that area, that area, that area, then you got 3 areas working together. I love how you knew the process, Brad and Holly. I think great explanation of that. From Mary Claire, self-empowerment. Can we hear more about his music too? Inspiration, a new musical day and dawn for Bradley. Rushing in, gushing out. Let's go. I completely agree, Mary Claire. Cosette, hey, Robbie, thank you for hosting. Sorry, I've got Bradley is amazing. Wow, that's from Cosette. From Caroline, I need to leave. Thank you so much for all this. My heart feels so open and warm, and it hurts right now. Taking moments to listen to the teacher. Love it. Ooh, yeah, this has been great. Yeah, so let me see if I could open up Spotify. Actually, you know what? I have a Dropbox file of your music. So give me 2 seconds. Brad, did you want to close out on anything, or just thank you? But if you have anything.
No, I'm all good. It's really, just thank you for all having me here and letting me open up to all of you. And it is a massive weight just been taken off of me. I've cleared out a load of room for new stuff to come in, so it's nice.
Beautiful, man.
So thank you very much, all of you. You're beautiful. Thank you.
This has been great.
I'm sorry about my squeaky chair if you've been hearing that all the time. It's not a dog in my room or anything.
Nah, we haven't heard it at all.
I need a new chair.
All right, so give me 2 seconds just because I got to upload it. It's a quantum scope. I have the I didn't have just the music files. Give me 2 seconds. Just got to upload it so it doesn't delay. I got to go to Gmail. Okay. Yeah, man, this was just really, honestly, the impact of what's going to happen, the ripple effect from all this. And guy, everyone, don't be shy. Like this, the one of the what I love about doing these calls is the ripple effect. And I'm sure Brad doesn't mind me saying this, but reach out to him, say hello, and um yeah, like guys, there's things, and Bev too. I mean, Bev, you got so many wise things that you say, and I know nobody, this is what it's about, just spreading it so we can all feel what Brad expressed. Um, and there's no reason why we can't all feel that way 24/7.
Yeah, because when you share, it's so beautiful because then we all feel we're not alone and we can do it too. Let's go.
Sharon.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's-
Hot damn. Thanks for that drive-by. Thank you. Yeah, Karen, I couldn't have said it or felt it better than what you just expressed. And that's what I said to Brad. I was just like, it's the ripple effect of what's going to happen. And there's so many people that can relate to everything that you said. And you just said a lot. So even if you said one thing, a lot of people could have related. All right. So before we start, this is from Lori Beatty. Lori, I love you. This has all been so amazing. Brad, I appreciate you and sharing your beautiful, powerful story. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Holly Miner, we are cleared to take off. Bev, thank you for sharing your story. It's amazing how it can be so different from mine, yet resonate with me so deeply. Because all processes are the same. We got it, guys. We can all learn from each other. I love this shit, man. From Yvonne, Brad, thank you for your story. All of it hits home. Worthiness, believe, healing ourselves is our innate right. We just need to embrace it. Well said, Yvonne. All right, so we're going to go off, I guess, take off, as Holly Miner said. We're going to clear to take off. Again, there's a million things. Oh, there's a couple things I actually do remember. So we're going to be back next week, nighttime. So it's not going to be coffee. It's going to be a glass of wine, East Coast time. The guest is actually going to be me, my sister, and Lala. It's going to be it's going to be a live thing. We're going to be doing some breath work, talking about just the concept and dive into things like what Brad just said with our music and our creation and our story. So I'm really looking forward to that. So besides that, I will have the YouTube link at the end of the night. So please share away. I'll send it in the group. But as always, just please keep sharing with people, whoever you think would benefit or just enjoy these conversations. They change lives. It's really, really powerful stuff. And just thank you again, Brad.
My
Seriously,
pleasure.
this was
My pleasure.
life-changing, man. This is so special. Awesome, man. All right. I'll see everybody in the stars. And this song, this is your third track on your album. It says track 3. What's the name of your third track on your album? Is it I know I have the list.
Realization.
Realization. Give me 2
Is
seconds.
that it?
Realization. Na, 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 na. Hey, Bradley, I got your music right here. Bradley White album. So this song is going to be Realization. Yes. Perfect. And I think it's like 10 minutes long. So you could just soak in everything. Close your eyes or stare at the quantum scope. Just listen and just feel the energy that was just created. It's going to be powerful. So, really quick, actually. So your music, do you want to say anything about it? Where it is, how people could get it?
Yeah, the music's just under my name, Bradley White. You can find it on any digital store. But I think you just say that you'd be talking about that next week or something?
Yes, I will. That'll be dabbled into it, but more so on yours. Your music is Bradley White on Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. You can hear
any store you like. Yeah, it's on any.
And so he actually, again, if it wasn't overemphasized, this was actually going to be like the purpose of the call in my head before he told me everything else, was he created all this music through the process in which what he just discussed. So that's like the beauty of it. Everything, the healing journey of it. All right, cool. And yeah, we'll be in touch. Lots of love, everybody. Yeah, so just sit and soak in this music. Thanks again, Brad. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Now that song has the energy of today in it. Anytime you're looking for any inspiration, any motivation, you put that song on and remember this call. It's all bottled up. The energy is all inside of that. Thank you again, Brad. Thank you again, everybody. I'll see you in the quantum.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
My pleasure.